Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Sandra Peart, Dean of the Jepson School of Leadership Studies, and it's my very great pleasure to welcome you to this event. In my view, and I think the view of many, this is the best event of Commencement weekend. This is the bookend to our admissions event prelude that happened 2.5 years ago. Time has flown by. At this ceremony, we recognize the wonderful achievements and accomplishments of our graduating class. And we extend to all of you our congratulations and our very best wishes for a bright future. About 400 of you registered for today's event, making this one of our largest finales ever. Welcome to all of our soon-to-be graduates and to the family members and friends who are joining us today. Please join me in thanking your professors who have inspired you during the last 4 years and the excellent staff of the Jepson School who put together this wonderful event and many others, as well as the reception today. If our staff and our faculty could please stand. The faculty are mostly at the front of this area, and then others are scattered here and there. Parents, siblings, and other relatives and friends of our graduates, please know that we appreciate all that you did to help them succeed. Jepson students, and I can still call you that for one more day, congratulations. This is the largest Jepson student school graduating class ever with 77 majors, although some of you have other home schools, and 14 minors. By way of comparison, we had 37 majors and 18 minors in 2008. So that's more than a 50% increase in our majors over that time span. You are Presidential Richmond and Bonner Scholars, Will members, and McDowell Center Fellows. You helped plan the University Equity Summit and Trick or Treat Street. You've served on student council and as speech and writing consultants, as RAs, as OAs, and tour guides. You were leaders for the Peer Sexual Misconduct Advisors, RCSGA. You contributed to the Collegian and varsity. You've been varsity and club athletes. You're now headed to positions at organizations where you completed your Jepson School internship, including Alpha Sites, CVent, Berkeley Research Group, Guidehouse, CVS Health, CSR Hub, and PwC. Others of you will be working at Deloitte, PlayStation and Microsoft, Mathematica, PSC&G, Amazon, Deloitte, Russell Reynolds, and New York Life Investments. You will enter paralegal positions with Paul Weiss and Bronx Legal Aid Society. You'll serve with Teach for America in Atlanta, or go on to postgraduate studies in public policy at NYU, in law at the University of Miami, as counselor education at UVA, and community planning at the University of Maryland, or you're going to the University of Oxford. You will join over 1,800 extraordinary Jepson alumni who live in many states and countries. Perhaps like Allison Smith Mangiero, you will start a blockchain company and then form a consultancy in the blockchain space. True to your Jepson humanities roots, you'll name that company for Alexis de Tocqueville. Or you'll take on the role of president and general manager of Columbus Crew Soccer in Columbus, Ohio. If you're like Tim Bezbatchenko, you'll have met your life's partner in your first year at the Jepson School. Perhaps like Jess Bigby, you'll be an associate at a Washington, D.C. law firm with a specialization in white-collar crime. And then you'll go on to raise money for an award such as the Servant Leader Award in honor of your best friend. Whatever you do in the future, you'll be ethical leaders who have the energy, the desire, and the education to make the world better. Please know that you're always welcome at the Jepson School of Leadership Studies. Please come back. Please stay in touch with us. Please attend our lectures and send us news. We'd like now to share this video with you and your family to help us reflect on the last 2.5 years at the Jepson School.
I ultimately came to the University of Richmond for the Jepson School of Leadership Studies, and I can confidently say after completing all my courses that this has truly prepared me for the real world.
The main reason I chose the University of Richmond was the Jepson School of Leadership. I sat in on a class and I was truly amazed at the engagement and environment that the professor and the students created in that classroom, and it was something that I knew I wanted to be a part of.
For the diversity of classes, how it incorporates different fields of study, and you understand why people are so irrational. And Jepson also teaches you a range of skill sets that you can't find anywhere else.
I immediately knew Jepson was the choice for me after I took Leadership 102 with Dr. Hallwell. Specifically, we read this book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And Malcolm Gladwell is just an amazing author.
My dream is to work in commercial real estate in New York. And I think the group dynamics and working in teams has really prepared me for that.
I think that leadership plays an intrinsic role in society. And I chose Jepson because I want to study that phenomenon and the history surrounding it.
For me, Jepson really allows you to do anything you want. So in the classes, you can do a little bit of philosophy, you can do a bit of history, and even a bit of math. And I like that because that's really who I am. I like to do everything. I don't like to be pigeonholed into one place.
I saw Jepson as an opportunity to give me the tools to be an advocate for those who don't have the same opportunities that I do.
As a student, it's really helped me sharpen my critical thinking skills and expose me to subjects that I never would have had the opportunity to study.
I chose Jepson because as somebody interested in arts administration, I wanted to see sort of how I fit into the larger community, whether that be through classes about group dynamics or about classes about diverse societies, or even where we're just learning things about transformational leadership.
I chose Jepson because I really like the interdisciplinary approach to problems, and I also really like the sense of community both inside and outside of the classroom.
I chose Jepson because it allowed me to explore avenues of social justice and advocacy around healthcare and other human rights topics.
I think Dr. Forsyth's group dynamics elective forced me to think in new ways because it made me realize that different parts of a group, whether you're a leader or a follower, are also vital to the group's end goal.
Ethical decision-making in healthcare. I'm, besides being in Jepson, I'm also a bio major on a pre-med track, so I believe that this class really helped me to form intersections and really see the connections between leadership and ethics and then healthcare.
My Justice and Civil Society class really challenged me because we were going out into the community and seeing firsthand some of the problems that we were discussing in class, and then also seeing some of the ways to combat those problems.
The Jepson course that taught me to think in new and different ways is definitely my ethics course, which I took in the fall of my senior year. Throughout the entirety of the course, we basically explored how ethics is not this concrete, static term or a term that has one understanding. And I was able to learn that not only through the scholarship that we were exploring, but also through learning and hearing the different perspectives of my classmates.
In my Justice and Civil Society class, we did a SNAP challenge where students were asked to live off of $4.50 of dining dollars a day for 4 days and record our experiences, specifically the challenges we faced. And this was a really eye-opening experience for me because not only did it push me to empathize and understand on a whole new level, but it also further motivated me to seek ways I could give back.
My Jepson class that challenged me to think in new different ways is probably leadership ethics, because it taught me a lot about breaking down my own ways of thinking and questioning things that I thought were universal truths and realizing that they weren't.
Justice and Civil Society with Professor Williamson really challenged me to think outside of the confines of what being a leadership student and just a student in general can mean, and really engage the community in ways that I never thought possible before.
Justice and Civil Society with Dr. Coetzee challenged me to think in new and different ways because she took a philosophical lens to the class, so we were thinking about modern day issues, but through a philosophical lens, which I'd never really used before.
Last semester, I took a course titled Leadership in Diverse Societies with Dr. Hoyt, and so it really pushed us to think a lot about these psychological processes and specific ways of thinking that affects people in society and ourselves both positively and negatively.
A Jepson class that challenged me to think in new and different ways was leadership ethics. It teaches you the ethics behind decision making, which is a crucial skill to learn before entering the job world.
My sophomore year, I took Justice and Civil Society with Dr. Williamson and really pushed me to critically analyze the society that we live in. Sophomore year, I kept doing very poorly on essays in one of my Jepson classes, and it wasn't until I wrote an essay on climate change and anthropence, something I was really passionate about, that my professor just responded with, "You've arrived."
I was interning at the Wilson Center, which is a public and foreign policy think tank in Washington, D.C., and I learned how to merge both task and relationship-oriented behaviors.
This past summer, I had an internship with a sales consulting firm called European Gateway, and I was able to use the skills that I learned in Dr. Harwell's 102 class about social sciences and emotional intelligence to really help me with my cold calling skills, and I think that this will be really beneficial in a future career.
So I interned at William Blair, which is a financial firm, and worked in institutional sales there, and had to focus across 7 different sectors rather than focusing on one, and really had to apply my leadership principles because we had to synthesize information from economics backgrounds, philosophy backgrounds, whatever it might be in our leadership courses. And I'll be returning to William Blair in the fall.
This summer I interned at SagePoint Financial, which is a small wealth management firm in Richmond, and I was definitely able to use the communication and collaboration skills that I learned in my classes at Jepson to make a meaningful impact in a really small office.
So my internship was with the Performing Arts Project. I used the leadership skills that I developed from Jepson when communicating with fellow interns and with staff and faculty, and also when I was pitching ideas for future programming.
I completed my internship at the American Enterprise Institute, which is a think tank located in Washington, D.C. A lot of what I did involved observing different political leaders and how they act towards their followers, which was a really great opportunity for me to be able to apply some of the principles and theories that I learned in Jepson.
I completed my internship at the Association of State and Territorial Health Officials, and I really got to see collaboration on display there and what happens when there isn't collaboration perhaps, so working with data sharing and trying to understand when collaboration goes wrong, why we can't get public health data from point A to point B.
I completed my Jepson internship at Wells Fargo, and I applied the trait theories of leadership to that internship. And I will be working in their wealth and investment management program after graduation.
I interned at a small music management company in Los Angeles remotely. I think my theories and models class really helped me learn the different styles of leadership and balancing that out across many different people.
So this summer I worked at the Hartford Insurance Company, and I was able to utilize my Jepson knowledge and leadership principles in order to effectively interact with my managers and make for a great experience.
I completed my Jepson internship last summer at CVS Health's General Management Corporate Internship Program. I'm excited to announce I'll be accepting a full-time position as an associate in their General Management Leadership Development Program.
Big thing for me and Jepson specifically is accountability and also responsibility, and I've had a lot of really great experiences on campus getting to demonstrate that, both in the Richmond Octaves, in my local fraternity, and also the Collegian student-run newspaper.
So there's a lot that I've taken from Jepson, especially with my work in the Office of Admission, working with the tour guide program, and so that's been super helpful managing a team of like 100 people and working on how to inspire people and using charismatic leadership as one of my core tenets.
As a leader, there's going to be sufferings involved, there's going to be hard times, happy times, and just acting in a nuanced way.
When I was the president of Trick or Treat Street on campus, the Jepson School really reminded me how important it is to keep the people that you're leading front and center all the time, whether that was the other people on the executive board or the hundreds of kids that came to campus for our Halloween parades.
I was able to learn that leader is not just the role itself and having that position, but it's also learning to be kind and being able to set an example for others to follow as well.
As an executive member of Spiderboard, the student programming organization for the past 2 years, I've learned that collaboration and relationship-oriented behavior really helps with student engagement and peer engagement and keeps everyone involved in the organization.
Well, I've learned to really dive into communication skills, especially in my role as a resident assistant on campus and as co-president of Jepson Student Government.
From Jepson, I really learned effective stakeholder management, really ensuring diversity and inclusion, as well as transformative leadership principles. During my time on campus, I've served on the West Hampton College Government Association, as well as started my own organization at Spider Venture Fund.
In Theories and Models with Professor Forsyth, I learned the value of
good relationships leading to good leadership. So in any role I found myself in, I tried to make sure I wasn't just a leader, but also a friend to the people within the organization, and I think that really contributed to good leadership in almost all of my roles.
The Jepson School of Leadership has definitely enhanced my communication and teamwork skills, which has helped me in my role as a student athlete here at Richmond.
I'm actually also a double major in the business school, and going into my junior year, I launched a peer mentoring program within the business school. Through Jepson, I was able to apply those skills that I had learned and how to be a leader to the peer mentoring program and bringing a group of people together to reach a common goal.
I'm currently doing research for my honors thesis, and as a pre-med and Jepson student, I'm really interested in the connection between medicine and leadership. The study we're working on is looking at how the physician's leadership style as well as the physician's race impacts a medical interaction.
I am studying under Dr. Crystal Hoyt to look at how growth versus fixed mindsets impact domains such as weight, addiction, mental illness, and gender. And I'm presenting my research at the Society for Personality and Social Psychology this coming February in San Francisco.
My Jepson honors thesis is on the gamification of well-being, and I built a limited app to run an experiment through in which I'm testing different behavioral modification techniques, and I'm trying to determine what's the most effective for long-term exercise habit formation.
I am studying Richmond's history of redlining and other housing policies that have segregated Richmond's neighborhoods to create the separate and unequal public education system we see today.
I'm double majoring in leadership studies and biology, and I'm combining those two majors and looking at the ethics of human moral enhancement with Dr. Flanagan.
This past year, I've been working with Dr. Terry Price. We've been studying COVID vaccine hesitancy and particularly different methods that can be used to increase vaccine uptake in an ethical and practical manner.
I'm doing research relating to how new policing technologies reinforce perceptions of minority criminality and the economic function of the prison industrial complex.
I'm currently doing an honors thesis advised by Dr. Williamson about how rhetoric impacts progressive healthcare policy through a content analysis as well as an experiment.
I'm doing honors research thesis that focuses on public schools in my home state of Delaware and educational achievement for Black students in particular.
Well, I was fortunate enough to work with Dr. Forsyth this past semester, and it was extremely rewarding and great experience for me as I was able to analyze leadership in a sports context using my teammates on the baseball team.
This year I've been doing my senior thesis with Dr. Crystal Hoyt, and I've been studying correlations between civic engagement and volunteering on college campuses with morality.
So I'm currently conducting an honors Jepson thesis with Dr. Harwell, and we're researching changes in consumer behavior and attitude based on what we're asking of consumers in the context of industrialized factory farming and its impact on the environment, human health, and animal welfare.
After graduation, I will be moving to DC, where I accepted a full-time offer with Guidehouse after my Jepson internship, and I'll be working in their national security sector on their financial management team.
I'll start working at Cvent. It's a technology company up in Northern Virginia. I completed my Jepson internship there last summer and had a lot of fun and met a lot of great people. And I am super excited to go back and work for them.
Starting next fall, I'll be working full-time as a healthcare consultant in Washington, D.C. in the healthcare solutions practice, working with hospital leaders to solve the biggest challenges of healthcare today.
I plan to travel internationally with some of my friends after graduation for a month or so, and then I'm starting at a company called Alpha Sites in New York in September. I did my Jepson internship there, and I absolutely loved the company, so I'm looking forward to going back there.
As soon as I graduate, I am going to travel, take the LSAT, and then start working as a paralegal in New York in September for 2 years before hopefully going to law school.
Last summer, I completed my Jepson internship at Alpha Sites, which is a knowledge on-demand company, and after graduation, I'll be returning to their New York City office to work on their marketing team.
I've applied to some graduate programs to pursue a master's in public policy, and then eventually I want to work my way to DC to work in federal policy.
Last summer, through my Jepson internship, I interned at PSE&G, which is a large utility in New Jersey, and as a result, I got a full-time offer in the renewable energy department designing energy efficiency programs for low-income communities.
Law school. While the exact destination isn't permanent, I know I will be taking all of the intellectual and interpersonal insights that the Jepson schools imparted upon me wherever I end up.
After graduation, I'm going to be moving to DC to return to the company I did my Jepson internship at, called Berkeley Research Group, as an associate in their healthcare their analytics practice. I took an education and equity class and I absolutely loved it. We covered topics like restorative justice initiatives and school to prison pipeline, and so I decided to go get my master's in counselor education in the next coming years, so I'm very excited.
Well, my name's Kirsten Soderlin, and I'm one of the Associate Deans here at the Jepson School of Leadership Studies, and I have the good fortune to work with our students in a variety of different capacities. I'm one of the first people that works with them when they're starting with the admissions process, and I work through internship with them and work with them on different programs and projects at the school. But today I have the pleasure of recognizing a group of students who have served the Jepson community for the past 2.5 years in a variety of ways. And so I've warned them all today that I'm going to embarrass them. I'm going to ask these individuals to all come up the stage. I'm going to have you come up this stair and line up so we can all see you. And I'm going to ask that everyone holds their applause until we get the whole group up here. All right, so Emily, you're taking the lead. Emily Anastas, who has served on the Jepson Student Government Association for 2 years. Will Brooks, who has served on Jepson Corps this year. Maha Hassan, who has served on Jepson Corps this year. Quinn Humphrey, who served on Jepson Corps this year. Eva Kamal, who served on Jepson Corps. Caitlin Lindstrom, who has served on the Jepson Student Government Association for 2 years and is one of the co-presidents for Jepson Student Government this year. Anna Marston, who's a member of Jepson Corps. Allie Osterberg, who has been on JSGA this year. Patrick O'Keefe, who's a member of Jepson Corps. Olivia Podber, who's a member of Jepson Corps. Kevin Spear, who served on JSGA for 2 years, actually 3 years, I think. Ben Weiser, who's a member of Jepson Corps. Asia Williamson, who's a JSGA member and is co-president of JSGA this year. And the last individual, Kayla Woods, is unfortunately not able to be with us today because she is out with her team at a track meet. And so we'll be hopefully celebrating with her on Monday with some of the other athletes. So Jepson Corps is our student group that helps with all of our admissions programs. They speak to prospective students. They helped with a faculty search. And the JSGA is the student body government association for our school. So I want to recognize all of these individuals for their service. We have given them some important Jepson swag. All right. I'm releasing you from the stage, okay? And I'm going to turn things over, I believe, to my colleague, Crystal Hoyt.
All right, welcome everyone. I have a little step here that I do not need, but but I'll use it anyways. Welcome. It is so good to see you all here. We have not been in person, as we all know, for a few years now. I just love to see everybody's face and to meet all the families. My name is Crystal Hoyt. I'm a professor here in the Jepson School. I am also the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs. So I have the great pleasure of recognizing some of our terrific academic achievements of our Jepson students, soon to be graduates. So first I'd like to recognize our science leadership scholars. Back in the fall of 2019, when your class was admitted to the Jepson School, several of you elected to embark on a relatively new Jepson program, Science Leadership Scholars. So the goal of this program is to provide students with the opportunity to study leadership in the context of scientific pursuits, the ethical challenges associated with the way science is conducted, and the impact that science has on a global community. And boy, do we know now how important that is. So at this time, I would like to ask all the Science Leadership Scholars to stand at your seats to be recognized for having completed this program. Congratulations, Science Leadership Scholars. So now I would like to turn to recognizing our Honor Society. The Jepson School of Leadership Studies Honor Society recognizes outstanding academic achievement in leadership studies. So to be eligible for membership in the Honor Society, a student must be a major in the top 10% of the class with a leadership studies GPA of 3.5 or higher and an overall GPA of 3.2 or higher. This class this year kept the bar very high, with no student earning below a 3.92 in leadership studies. Yeah, let that sink in, 3.92. So I have a few folks to recognize, so please come up to the stage when I call your name, and Ms. Linda Trent will work with me to give you your honor cord. So first, Matt Barnes, come on down. Congratulations, Matt. Next, Will Brooks. Come on down, Will. Congratulations. All right. Next, Katie Encinas. Next, Maha Hassan, come on down. Imagine how long it takes when we have people up there sometimes. Hopefully there's nobody up there. Congratulations. Next we have Haley Hoamani. Is that Haley? There she is. Congratulations, Haley. Our next member of the Honor Society could not make it to be with us here today, but I would like to recognize her, Nadia Iqbal. Next, Charlotte Moynihan. Come on down. Allie Osterberg, you are next. And our final inductee into the Honor Society is Benjamin Weiser. Please join me in once again congratulating our new Honor Society members. Thank you very much. Congrats. And now, on the heels of that, I get to recognize more honors students. This recognition is for honors thesis work. So honors thesis, earning honors in leadership studies signifies the successful completion of the honors track by a major with a proven academic record and scholarly drive. So students who earn honors in leadership studies develop a research project on a question in the study of leadership, spend a full academic year working on this project with a Jepson faculty member, and write an honors thesis. And you saw some of our students talk about that in this lovely film that we just watched. So as I call your name, please come to the stage to be recognized. So first, Matt Barnes. come back down. Come on down. And Linda Trent will present the pin sets. So Matt Barnes conducted an honors thesis entitled The Gamification of Well-Being with his advisor, Dr. Kristen Bazayo. Congratulations, Matt Barnes. Next, we have Will Brooks. Will conducted an honors thesis entitled Crime Pays, How Black Americans Became Central to the Carceral State, with advisor Dr. Julian Hayter. Congratulations, Will. Next is Megan Gare. Come on down, Megan. There she is. So Megan's honors thesis was entitled The Effect of Rhetoric on the Public Progressive Health Care Plans. And Megan's advisor was Dr. Thad Williamson. Congratulations, Megan. All right, next would be Haley Wamani. So Haley conducted an honors thesis, and her work was entitled The Impact of Calls to Action Regarding Factory Farming on Consumer Behavior and Attitudes. And her advisor was Dr. Haley Harwell. Let's congratulate Haley, the Haleys. Next, we have Charlotte Moynihan. Charlotte's honors thesis was entitled Understanding Racial Bias Toward Physicians, the Role of Patients' Preference for Hierarchy. And I served as Charlotte's advisor. Congratulations, Charlotte. And next we have Allie Osterberg. Come back down. Allie's honors thesis was titled, Does Civic Engagement Predict Moral Behaviors? A Test of Moral Theories. And I was also Allie's advisor. Congratulations, Allie. And may I ask Olivia Podber to come down? Yes. So Olivia's honors thesis is entitled Coercion or Influence. Ethical strategies leaders should use to increase COVID-19 vaccination uptake. And her advisor was Dr. Terry Price. So we do have one last honors thesis, but this student couldn't be with us today, as we've already heard. Her name is Kayla Woods, and she is at a track meet. But I would like to read her honors thesis title and have us recognize her. She did amazing work, and I can attest to it. I was on her committee, but I was not her advisor. Her thesis was entitled, The Impacts of Segregation and Desegregation Policies on Academic Achievements of Black Students in Delaware Public Schools. Her advisor was Dr. Olga Chikina. Let's congratulate Kayla and all of our honors thesis students. Congratulations. Excellent work. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to invite Dean Peart back to the stage. And I will move this over, put it back in place.
Thank you, Crystal. Yes, the box that I'm standing on has been specially designed for me. It's now my pleasure to recognize a number of other students who received special awards from the Jepson School. The first of these is the Frederick M. Jablin Award for Undergraduate Research. This award is given in honor of Fred Jablin, a beloved professor at the Jepson School and a scholar who had a passion for research and delighted in working with young scholars at the Jepson School. The 2021-22 Jablin Award recipient is Allie Osterberg. Allie, please come forward. I'd like to, you've heard a little bit about Allie's thesis just in terms of the title, but I'd like to let you know a little bit more about it. In her honors thesis, Allie asked about the potential beneficial or detrimental outcomes of civic engagement experiences at the University of Richmond. She drew from a theoretical framework, several frameworks, that look at moral licensing and moral consistencies, a literature that predicts somewhat contradictory effects. She wanted to find out, on the one hand, she wanted to look at research that suggests that engaging in moral behavior gives a person a certain license to make more immoral actions in the future. On the other hand, research shows that the more people engage in moral behavior, the more they see themselves as moral and then act in moral ways. And so they're less likely to engage in immoral behaviors. Ali explored the effects of civic engagement on students through these two lenses, and she found, to the great relief of our professors at the Jepson School, that civically engaged students were more likely to act in more moral ways rather than less moral ways. After leading outdoor wilderness trips in Iceland this summer, Ali will be attending the University of Oxford as a Jepson School. Congratulations, Ali. The next award I'd like to describe is the C.J. Gray Award, Achievement Award for Excellence in Scholarship and Leadership. This award was established in 1973 by the members of the Richmond College class of 1933 in honor of their classmate, Clarence J. Gray. The C.J. Gray Award is given to graduating seniors, one from each college and one from Jepson and the Robbins School. These students need to be members of both Phi Beta Kappa or Beta Gamma Sigma, so that's an or, and they must be members of Omicron Delta Kappa or Mortarboard. So there's a serious Venn diagram going on there. They must also have four-year records in scholarship and leadership in their schools. The recipient of the Jepson School's 2022 C.J. Gray Award is a member of Phi Beta Kappa and Omicron Delta Kappa, so he qualifies. He's also an outstanding leadership studies student. He completed 47 units of study at the University of Richmond, including several additional leadership studies electives beyond the 4 required for graduation. This year's Jepson School C.J. Gray Award recipient is Franklin Borey. Franklin, if you could please rise and let us recognize you, that would be wonderful. Franklin? You will see Franklin in a special role tomorrow at commencement. In addition, I'd like to recognize the James McGregor Burns Award, awardee from the school. This award was established in 1994 by Bob and Alice Jepson. It's presented to a graduating student in the Jepson School of Leadership Studies. The winner of this award must have an outstanding ability to fulfill a number of requirements. They must have demonstrated an outstanding grasp of the body of knowledge associated with leadership studies. They need to have excelled in their studies at the university generally. But then in addition to that, they need to have been actively involved in service to the school, the university, or their community, shown an ability to generalize and apply leadership theory and research in unique and imaginative ways. And they must have displayed a capacity both to lead others and to help others lead themselves. This year's Burns recipient has done all that. The person has integrated their 2 majors throughout their time at the university, obtaining an astonishing perfect GPA, 4.0. They've conducted research and completed internships that brought their understanding of leadership studies to bear on their other applied major. One Jepson faculty member commented that our Burns recipient is adaptable, willing to think on multiple disciplinary levels, and has ambitious ideas. The professor added that our Burns awardee genuinely cares about making the world a better place. It's also of note that this awardee balances their own work, and this is now a quote from another faculty member, forming relations and supporting their friends, who include students across multiple majors from multiple countries and with multiple outlooks on the world. This individual has explored bias and its effect on vulnerable populations and the development of positive behavioral patterns. So now you might be able to guess who it is. All in the virtual world. And so now you must be able to guess who it is if you were listening to Crystal Hoyt. This person has engaged as well with circus and silks. So he's quite a Renaissance person. It's my pleasure to present the 2022 James McGregor Burns Award to Matt Barnes. And now I'd like to recognize the Jepson Scholars. This is the 4th year that we've offered the Jepson Scholars Program, which funds tuition and expenses for graduating seniors who've been accepted at a one-year master's program at the University of Oxford. This program was made possible as a result of the vision and generosity of Robert S. Jepson and Alice Andrews Jepson, the benefactors who made the Jepson School of Leadership Studies possible. This year we have 2 members of the class of 2022 who will be attending the University of Oxford next fall to complete a master's program. Ali Osterberg will pursue a master's degree in Latin American Studies, and Ben Weiser will pursue a master's in public policy at the Blavatnik School. Ali and Ben, would you please rise and be recognized? Thank you. And now Caitlin Lindstrom and Asia Williamson will introduce our next speaker.
You can just stand on either side of it.
Awesome. Thank you, Dean Peart. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Lindstrom, and this is Asia Williamson. We served as Jepson Student Government Association co-presidents for the 2021-2022 academic year. It is wonderful to spend our graduation celebrations with close family and friends, and we thank you all for being here today. To the class of 2022, we made it. Just a month ago, we came together in the Jepson Alumni Center and spoke about the last few boxes we wanted to check off on our college bucket list and about making time to create as many memories as possible. I know with a class as ambitious as our own, the memories made in these last 4 years will be cherished as we move on to the next chapters of our lives. As we are a resilient group of young professionals who have remained diligent through student activism, personal hardships, and a global pandemic, among other distresses. Throughout this weekend, our awards and diplomas are proof of that.
So as I stand here and I look out at each and every one of your faces and your families and friends that are joining you today, I feel an immense sense of pride to call myself a member of the 2022 graduating Jepson class, because by extension, that means I have the pleasure to call all of you my classmates, and that's truly an honor. From internship with politicians to being on honors tracks to presenting at renowned conferences like the Association for Practical and Professional Ethics, as well as the Personality and Social Psychology Conference, attending undergrad as a student athlete, Bonner and Richmond Scholars, to landing future jobs at companies like Microsoft and CVS Health, working at prestigious law firms, to getting accepted into amazing grad and law school programs, and countless other accomplishments and engagements. Each and every one of us has worked together to weave and leave behind an everlasting legacy at Jepson, and it has been a remarkable experience to do so along such distinguished individuals. This class has reached for the stars and has gone beyond. And I hope all of you are as proud of yourself as I am of your accomplishments, because you earned it, and the best is yet to come.
Through our classes, internships, and extracurriculars, we have led lives as active participants around campus and will carry this spirit of engagement and activism with us in our new endeavors. We all worked so incredibly hard and grew as young adults. We all are taking a big step into a new chapter of our lives, a chapter that is full of new, exciting possibilities. As we continue on to enter a new career or pursue graduate school, I have full confidence that each of you will find your path in which you will excel, as you have done during your time here in Richmond. The family and friends that are sitting in this room tonight are in your fan club and will continue to support you as we wrap up our time here in Richmond and move across the world.
So, at this time, I would like to do something that we did at senior banquet again and call your attention back to that first moment when we were deciding whether we were going to apply to the leadership school and that anxious feeling that we felt, or at least I did, wondering if my leadership roles were leery enough and if my volunteer experience was voluntary enough, and wondering if I was going to get into the Jepson School. But now we're here, and it's almost over, and honestly, the feeling is still so surreal. But as distant or near as the beginning of our journey seems, again, I want to call your attention back to that time for a moment, when we made the decision to apply to Jepson. And the assumption of a leadership major or minor, we all came in thinking we could learn more about leaders, how they lead, and how we ought to. But another critical lesson to take away from Jepson is that it's also just as important to follow. Follow your heart, follow your dreams, and most importantly, follow what's right. And as we get ready to cross over into this new stage of life, I invite everyone to take these principles with them, because I know that I will. Unlike many other academic endeavors, Jepson has uniquely equipped us with the moral technologies that can be utilized to be instruments of change. And now that we have them, we have to use them. Beyond that, though, I also encourage everyone in these final 24 hours to truly take in and soak in every bit of Richmond that you possibly can, because soon all we'll have here is memories. So take the time to make them. And at this time, on behalf of the entire JSGA, I would like to thank you all for coming out, and to the class of 2022, here's to being at the finish line.
So without further ado, I would like to introduce our next speaker, someone who has left an immeasurable impact on the School of Leadership and has undeniably left one on this program as well. Dr. Dawn Forsyth served as the Colonel Leo K. and Gailey Thornes Endowed Chair in Ethical Leadership, introducing scholarship about ethical thought and moral judgment. He has authored more than 150 books, chapters, and articles featured in journals such as American Psychologist, the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin, and the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Throughout his 17 years here in the Jepson School, he served on a number of representative bodies, including the Student Development Committee and the Institutional Review Board. He challenged students to broaden perspectives on group processes and how it affects individuals' perceptions of leaders, contributing to the holistic understanding of leadership in our society. Now it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Dr. Dawn Forsyth.
Oh, I like this. Hi, everyone. It's getting late, isn't it? Thank you so much for that kind introduction. It's quite an honor to be selected by the Jepson Student Government Association to be the last professor to bore you. Many of you have taken classes from me, and you already know me. I've already had a chance to bore you before. Perhaps bored you many times. Some of you escaped me somehow. But look, I got you now. My final opportunity to bore you. It is an honor to be asked to speak to you and give this final graduation address. But I do feel a little bit like Michelle Wolf when she was at the White House Correspondents, and she turned to the group and said, "Did you do your research? Why did you pick me to give the presentation?" Before she horrified the entire audience with her stand-up. I feel like I'm in the same basic position. Did you do your research? Why would you pick me? There's a format to these kinds of presentations. See, there's things I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to offer you words of wisdom. I'm supposed to motivate you to go on and enjoy a wonderful life. I'm supposed to offer up a few literary quotes to convince you that we're all good academics. The only quote I can offer you is, well, it's from a character, Dirty Harry, in a Clint Eastwood movie, which is, and let's degender it, a person needs to know their limitations. I know my limitations. I cannot give a formulaic graduation speech to you. I've just got to do what I basically do, which is go off track and talk about a lot of things. But I am benefited by the syndrome which has already overtaken you. It almost overtook me. If I wasn't a speaker, I may not have escaped the amnesia that occurs during these kinds of events. When I was asked to be the speaker today, I thought, well, that'll be easy. I've been at this a long time. I've heard dozens and dozens of these speeches by people who are good speakers, far better than I could ever be. So I thought, well, I'll just plagiarize some of that. How hard could it be? I can't remember any of it. It's just all gone. Something's erased. It's like from the moment where the person says, thank you for that warm introduction, to the final moments where you say, class of 22, congratulations. There's just a big blank there. And I can see looking out at you, your minds have wandered elsewhere. You're thinking, it's getting late. He's a professor. Can we trust him to actually speak in time for us to get out of here? Has it started raining outside? Did you bring an umbrella? What's the reception going to be like? Are they going to have beer and wine? That'll be nice. Or in the case of Al, you might just be thinking, will there be shrimp? So the pressure's off, basically. I can say anything I want to, because 3 or 4 days from now, you won't remember anything I said. I'll just say, it's going to be a terrific presentation. So I'll say that like 8 times. And so 3 days from now, you say, well, how was Forsyth? And it was terrific. I can't remember what it was. It was terrific. And naturally, I have a few besides to offer that. It's if you did your research. I mean, geez, haven't we heard enough from old, white, cisgendered men to last a lifetime? I know I've heard enough from those individuals. And the second beside is, what's this about? Like, what's this point? Like, I'm supposed to tell you something that's so important we haven't gotten to it yet? We've had you for years. It's been 4 years. If it was important, we would have told you already. We're not holding anything back. It's like, well, what did we not get to? What didn't we cover? It's like, oh, on your resume, make sure you describe yourself as a leader. They'll pay you more money if you put that on your resume. Possibly so. When you cook your first Thanksgiving turkey, preheat the oven to 430, but then when you put the bird in, after 5 minutes, turn it down to 320. Important lessons, I think. Nobody actually stole the 2020 election. I'll mention that. These are important things to remember, but I hope you already got to them. But in thinking about that, there is something perhaps that we haven't told you yet, and this is just for the graduates of the Jepson School of Leadership. The rest of you can just be envious of their new capability, but you do have a superpower. I know it's like the Unbreakable movie and the Glass movies. It's possible you didn't know you had this superpower. But yes, through your experiences in the Jepson School, you now have a superpower which comes with responsibilities to use appropriately. And what is that superpower? And you may have had a hint of it when you watched that video of how articulate the students are. But you have a deep and now profound understanding of leadership processes. And more than that, you can talk about leadership. You have a vocabulary, a language that lets you speak about leadership, that explains leadership, not just to yourself, but to others as well. When I first started teaching at the Jepson School of Leadership, apparently 17 years ago, I thought, what a great idea. I'll have leaders come in, and I'll have effective leaders come in, and they'll talk about how they lead. And occasionally, a leader would come in and would be able to speak eloquently about he or she did the work. Most could not. They had no vocabulary. They had no words to explain the process of leadership, how individuals are able to motivate, inspire, and organize others in the pursuit of collective goals. They weren't able to do that. Who can do that? Jepson students have the skills and capabilities to explain leadership, and not just to themselves, but to other people. So it comes with a responsibility. As you head off, when you work with other individuals, it would be your responsibility to help those leaders improve their leadership. It is the reason why the Jepson School exists. Mr. Jepson, many years ago, looked at the world and wondered how he could change the world effectively. And he hit upon the brilliant idea that it's about leadership. Our leaders aren't doing all that well. They need to work more effectively. In the Jepson School, we study leadership. But even more than that, we help other leaders improve their leadership skills. And yes, that's your superpower, to be able to communicate to others about leadership, to explain the process and point out ways that they can perform more effectively. It won't be easy to do. In some cases, a leader won't like to receive that feedback. But I can promise you that leaders who are effective, who care about leadership, will accept that feedback willingly. Bad leaders won't, so just be careful with the bad leaders. But the good leaders will certainly listen to you. All right, so I pontificated too much. I apologize. Opined. I promised myself I wouldn't do that, but I couldn't resist it. What's left? Oh, it's the gushing part to tell you how wonderful you are. I don't have to do much of that. You demonstrated it on your videos. You look pretty terrific up there. But I do have to gush a little bit. At the end of this event, you're off to do many other things, to have conversations with people. And many of you in the room, well, you have college degrees. You've gone through this experience. You have your credentials. And you might look at the graduates of 2022 and think, huh? So you got a degree. What's the big deal? I've been at this a long time. I started college in 1971. I liked it a lot. So I stayed for a little bit longer than that. I went to graduate school in 1974. I liked that too. And then I said, well, I'll just stay in college. I've been here ever since. So it's been about 50 years that I've been in higher education. And so I've seen some things over the years. When I started off myself, the Vietnam War and the protests on campus, that was a bit of a distraction. Through the years, civil unrest as the result of oppression of minorities in the United States seeps into campuses. Seen that happen. 9/11, taught through 9/11. I taught through the disco era. But in terms of calamities across all of that time span, this pandemic has been something. So yes, you have earned your degree in a very difficult time. It's when the supports to you, all the sources of support for learning, to achieve difficult educational goals have been absent. And the faculty, of course, have risen to the occasion to help you with this challenge, but it's you yourselves that are the resilient ones that were able in these very difficult times to be successful. So yeah, a little bit of gushing. But you certainly deserve congratulations for this achievement in this particularly difficult time. Just to wrap up, we have a reception after all awaiting us. Let's end up with an odd little bit of poetic injustice. There's much to enjoy along the way to the end, but let's not complain here at the river's last bend. No more papers to write, no tests to endure. The internship is over, your GPA is secure. The classrooms are empty, we put our notes away. There are no more presentations to give. Even your professors have no more to say. So class of 2022, raise your spirits high. Graduation day is here, but it's time to say goodbye. Thank you.
I'll be very brief now, as I do know that we have a reception. Let me just say that Don Forsythe has, on many occasions, made me a better leader, sharing his insights in how I should lead. So thank you, Don. And I did listen. Many of you know that Don is retiring after a long and distinguished career at the University of Richmond. When warranted, the dean of a school may apply to the university's trustees to offer a special lifetime status, emeritus, reserved for faculty who are recognized scholars and teachers. It's my great pleasure to announce that the Board of Trustees granted emeritus status to Don Forsythe in recognition of his many accomplishments. Congratulations, Don. You'll be missed by students. One more recognition that I would like you to know about. Last night, the school faculty and staff recognized Dr. Crystal Hoyt, our Associate Dean, who's been a tireless advocate for our students over the years and who's about to embark on a well-deserved sabbatical from the Jepson School. We offered her the also well-deserved award for leadership and service from the Jepson School. Please stand and be recognized, Crystal. I had to handwrite my notes about that into the script since Crystal has reviewed the script many times, so that was a surprise. And now I want to encourage all of you to enjoy the next hour of conversation with your loved ones and your families and with the faculty and staff of the Jepson School. Please be sure to pick up the insert that belongs with your program as you depart from the Maudlin Center and enjoy the refreshments and reception ahead. Thanks very much. Congratulations once again to the class of 2022.